Hello, hello, hello. What's up, Nick?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
How you? I'm
My
good.
back,
How are you?
good, man. That background looks clean.
Yeah. I'm trying to make stuff look good for us. Just trying to do what I can.
Yeah, man.
So we're just getting started here. 8 o'clock, as we said, 8 o'clock. Wedding business growth. Just give everybody a chance to jump in with us, hopefully, and see what's going on.
Have you been?
What you been up to today, man?
Dude, not too much, man. Just doing a little real estate work. It was pretty cool. We did a house out in Jacksonville Golf and Country Club.
Excellent.
Nice area, dude. Seriously, like it was cool. So
Yeah. Hey, if you're just jumping on watching us, thank you very much. We're happy to have you guys here. We're going to get officially started in just a few minutes. We're just trying to give some people a chance to get on board with us. And we're going to talk a little bit about what business growth to grow into. And we're also going to be addressing a couple of topics. We put a poll out there, and overwhelmingly, everybody said they wanted to talk about post-COVID-19 events. So we'll dabble in that a little bit. By no means are we experts in that, but we're still happy to kind of put our spin on it, if you will. And then we'll talk a little bit about social media tonight. So that's a few of the things that we're going to be talking about. And we'll get started here, like I say, in just a couple minutes. Want to give it a chance for some folks to jump on and be available. And by the way, if you're jumping on and you want to be a part of the conversation, please feel free to comment in the comments section. We'd also be happy to invite you to be on the video with us if you want to actually talk and offer your thoughts on the topic that we're talking about. You are more than welcome to do that. Just shoot us a quick message. We'll get you on there. We're happy to have everybody. We want this to be something that everybody can be involved with. We want this to be a community of people who are all kind of working together to say, hey, how can we help people get better with their business? I see Donnie Lewis, the old
Donnie.
birthday boy, just jumped on, man. What's going on, Donnie? Happy birthday, man. Hope you're having an awesome day for your birthday today, man. Thanks for joining us, bud. We are, again, we're just getting ready to go here. We got about another 2 or 3 minutes before we get started. And then we're just going to dive right into wedding business growth and what we're hoping to accomplish with the program. So stick around, hang out. Nick, what do you got for us? Anything, man?
Not much, dude. Just chilling out, trying to hang on. So
Yeah, it's been
yeah,
a tough couple of months, to say the
yeah,
least, hasn't it?
yeah. Especially, man, I've like, I'm just getting started, so it's been tough. But dude, we find solutions and we make it work. So, I was able to shift for the to the real estate stuff for a little bit and it's working, so can't complain, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it looks like Donnie's having a good time out there on the deck, man. I almost feel bad. Like I wish I would have been there to join him for his birthday. Nick, I don't know if you know Donnie, but
No,
this guy does some of the most amazing environmental. There's a couple different names for it, but I call it environmental projections, where he's projecting on sides of buildings and houses. During Halloween, he does some
that's
amazing
awesome.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, that's sick.
Donnie's like the king of that, man. He's so good at that stuff, man.
Cool. Dude, that's
But
so cool.
today's his birthday, so trying to help
Oh, happy
him.
birthday, man. Yeah,
Yeah, help him enjoy his birthday, man.
yeah.
Absolutely,
Thanks for
absolutely.
being here.
Well, we got just about another minute or two, and we got hopefully a few more people coming in and joining us. Put the word out if you're watching right now. Put the word out, and you know what? One of the things too, before we jump into this, I really want to encourage you as a wedding vendor to invite people to join this group. My goal with this group, just to get started, my goal with this group is to really have a place of community, really have a place where people don't have to worry about getting bashed and getting, negative things said to them. Yeah, we absolutely want to be, real and be serious about what we're doing and help people, but we're not in here to tell you that everything you're doing is wrong and you need to do it our way and things like that. Those kind of things are not going to happen in this group. So, we're looking forward to really just building a community of people that all really feel the same way and want to be a part of what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Donnie, man, Donnie in New York, man. I love it. Donnie in New York. We got to go up there, Nick, sometime and hang out, man.
Yes. Yeah. New
That'd
York's
be fun.
awesome.
That'd be fun. Well, all right, man. Let's go ahead and dive into this. And as people join in, again, if you're joining in and you're just getting here with us and you're a part of what we're talking about tonight, we invite you to just drop some comments. Anytime you have a comment about what we're talking about, if you want to come on video with us, just send me a comment and let me know you want to jump on video with us to talk a little bit about the different topics that we're talking about today. This is not just it's not designed to be just me and Nick. We hope that some of our members will want to be a part of it. If not, then, me and Nick will keep riffing as long as we keep going here. But we love to get you guys on board. So if you're interested in being, on screen with us and kind of involved in the conversation, we welcome that. There's plenty of room for that. And you're welcome to join us. So just so everybody knows that. So anyways, wedding business growth is really an idea that I've been thinking about for I don't know, 5 years, probably 4 or 5 years. And it's just been something that I've really wanted to create a community that takes people in the wedding event industry that are successful and have thriving businesses and are doing really well. And they care about the industry itself. They care about seeing the industry grow. They care about seeing the industry succeed. And they care about the people in it growing and succeeding, and want to really help people, and taking those people and putting them together with mentors, or being mentors to people who are new. They haven't been around long enough. They're not really, quite where they need to be in business, and they're getting a lot of different direction from here, there, and everywhere. And we just want to, help those people maybe streamline that process a little bit, help those people really be able to have a chance to have a thriving business and a business that they can be proud of. And they're not going to be, here today, gone tomorrow, only been in the industry for a year. And then next thing you know, they disappear because they just really didn't have the right guidance. We have an industry where people are really, really passionate about their craft, whether they're a DJ, a photographer, videographer, cake baker, doesn't matter, wedding planner. They're really passionate about their business, really passionate about their craft, but they don't always have all of that same passion or understanding on the business side of things. And so, Nick, I think that's one of the things we really want to help people with is the business side of things.
Yeah, and sharing ideas and, creating a community where, you can compare and maybe learn something new, even if you are someone who's been in business for a while, you can always learn something. So I think that's what's really awesome about what we could do with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that point, within the Facebook group itself, there is a opportunity for people to, sign up and become a mentor. And, that's one of the things we really like to see people really want to do is sign up and become mentors and help people that will be growing joining the group as it continues to build, as it continues to grow. And I'm just going to do a screen share here real quick for those of you who've not really taken the time to look around the website or the Facebook group. I call it the website, the Facebook group. So here's the site here. And, we've got a couple things that we really have here I want to touch on. First thing is that mentorship. So right here, you see we got 2 people that are signed up to be mentors. We don't necessarily have anybody seeking mentors yet, and that's fine. Quite honestly, a lot of the people that we've been inviting to join in on the group currently are people that have really been in the business for a while, maybe don't necessarily need a mentor, but I would challenge that maybe you could look at it as there might be somebody in the group that's really strong with, say, social media or really strong with marketing or something along those lines that you could ask for help in that area. So somebody that else is in the group could really sign up to be a mentor and offer that, that help and offer those suggestions. So it's right on the side tab there. It's the mentorship tab. And all you got to do is just go there to sign up, and you can sign up to either be a mentor or, if you're seeking mentorship. So we're really encouraging everybody to do that. And I think, Nick, going into a little bit about our story for people who don't know about us, and maybe I'll kind of let you share this. This is literally what happened with you and me. And one of the coolest thing about this, before I have you jump in, one of the coolest things about this is that you do videography, you do photography. Now you actually do a little bit of DJing to help us too. Hey, why not, right? But you really, by craft and by preference, are really more of a photographer and videographer. And I think we just have a really cool story between the two of us where, I'll just let you tell it. Why don't I let you tell it?
Yeah, sure. I think our relationship is kind of like the vision ultimately for what this is going to be. Because when I first started this, I had absolutely no business knowledge whatsoever. and you were just the guy. So to take you back, I mean, it was just about a year ago. I graduated from college, and I was looking to kind of get into the video space. It was something I was really passionate about, I'm interested in. And, I was looking around, and, along came Y Entertainment. So I went out, shot some stuff for David. He was really excited about it. He thought it was really good. He's like, man, this is incredible. It kind of brought on the conversation. What are you looking to do? And then that's kind of where it started. Like, well, I'd really love to, take this as far as I can, turn it into a business, and, sky's the limit. Why not? Actually, when I first started, I had no idea there was even a market for any of this stuff. Like, I just enjoyed doing it. Like, I was making like gym videos for my friends, like workout videos, like to highlight like their stuff. And it started as straight up as a passion and like just pure hobby, just enjoyed it. And I was like, man, we can really like take this somewhere. But I have absolutely no business knowledge whatsoever. So that's where David kind of came in and was like, I can really help you with this. I mean, I've been in business for 20 years now. I was like, that's a long time. The space. And I was like, I absolutely. So I just took it and ran, and here we are a year later, doing all kinds of events, working with in corporate events. We've stretched beyond weddings too. I mean, I've done all kinds of weddings. Man, sky's the limit. So it's been absolute like privilege. It's been so grateful for this guy right here, because I don't know where I would be if I hadn't, had some of his guidance, for sure.
No, that's cool, man. I appreciate you saying that. And I mean, ultimately, to me, that's what it's all about. And the beauty of it, again, is being able to take two people from separate parts of the wedding industry, but being able to mesh together and understanding that at the end of the day, whether you make cakes, whether you're a wedding planner, whether you're a DJ, whether you're a photographer, whether you're a photographer, whether you're a hair and makeup person, whether you're an officiant, I'm probably missing people's titles and I apologize. But no matter what you are, at the end of the day, we all have the same client. We all have the same end client. Our deliverables that we bring to them are different, but we all have the same client. So that's one of the beauties of us being able to, help each other from the business side of things. Nick, you're a videographer, you're a photographer. That's your passion. That's what you really want to do. So I don't really necessarily need to help you in that regard, because your drive to be a top-notch, well-respected, well-sought-out videographer and photographer is going to propel you and push you to want to learn the technical skills to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
And so if I can help you from the business side of things to create a business that grows and flourishes and is sustainable and is reputable, and all of these characteristics that come with having a business that isn't here today, gone tomorrow, those are the kind of things that we can do in a group like this. And those are the ways that we can help each other in a group like this. And by the way, we're doing it we're doing it as a community. This is not something that we're charging people to do. This is something that we're doing as a community to help each other. And that's why we're reaching out to our friends. That's why we're reaching out to people that we already know in the industry, and we already know, really have a passion for this business, and saying, hey, we'd love for you to be a part of this. We'd love for you to join us in this goal that we have and will hopefully accomplish through this mentoring program.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, dude. There's such a community here that I had no idea about. Like, it's crazy. Like, even in the little time that I've been a part of this industry, like you start seeing the same people at these events because we're all in the same area, and you start to just develop that connection with people. Like, oh, hey, yeah, I saw you at the last event, dude. There's such a great community here that stretches beyond, our specific, niches. Where you're a DJ and I'm a videographer. There's so much that we can all learn from each other. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Once again, guys, if you're just watching, we're just talking a little bit about what wedding business growth is all about, and what our goals are, what we want to accomplish as the group, and how you can be involved and how you can be a part of it. And we want your input. So if you're watching right now, you have a comment, you have some information you want to put in, to talk about. Even if you want to join us on camera, if you're willing to join us on camera, feel free to do that. We're just going to riff. We're just going to have a good time. We're just going to talk. This is, a safe place. This is a place where you can, thank you very much. It says Facebook user, so I'm not sure who that is, but whoever said glad to be a part of your group, thank you for that. Thank you so much.
Yes.
This is a safe place where you can come to and you can be a part of what we're doing. And we're excited for you to be a part of that. And we want you, to continue to be a part of that in, however way possible you can. So we've talked a little bit about the mentorship program. Once again, kind of just to put a button on that and just to remind people, if you're interested in either one, if you're interested in being a mentor or you're interested in finding somebody to be a mentor, and remember, even if you've been in this business for a long time, but you might need help. You struggle in social media, which is one of the things we're going to be talking about a little bit tonight. If you struggle in marketing, if you struggle in, a business plan, if you struggle, that was Raymar. Hey, buddy. Thank you, man. Thank you, Raymar. Appreciate you jumping on, buddy. If you struggle with any facet of your business, this is where this mentorship program can really come into play, and this can really help you out. So, we have, like I said, we have a few people that have already said that they're willing to be mentors. And over the time, as we build this group, as hopefully you as members will help continue to keep inviting people within this industry, either people that, have been in the industry for a while and have a proven track record of success, or people like Nick who, quite honestly haven't even, well, Nick, you're almost at a year, right? Or have you already passed a year? I can't.
Yeah, I hit a year.
So you just hit a year, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, cool. So, whether it's you just hit a year or whether you've been in for 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, whatever, the bottom line is the more people that we have that are willing to be mentors and willing to take, we're not talking about a lot of time. If you're willing to take an hour of your time to help somebody else who wants to grow their business and wants to build their business, this is the opportunity where you can do that. So again, go to the Facebook group. And on the left-hand side, the tab there that says mentorship, that's where you go to do that. You can sign up to be a mentor, or you can sign up saying you're seeking a mentor in a specific part of that. So that is one component of the community of wedding business growth that we're going to really continue to push over the next couple months. And by the way, the people that are signing up to be mentors, they're not charging any money. We're not going to ask them to charge any money. Matter of fact, that's one of the things that we're going to ask them to do. Be willing to volunteer again, an hour a week, whatever it is, just to help somebody else. And that's part of the community. And that's part of what we're building here with this group. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah, and just something I want to add in, like, I think one of the best ways to learn in life, like that I've noticed, is through teaching. So, I mean, if you think like, oh, what am I going to get out of it? Like, you can still solidify your own skills and your own knowledge. Like, I mean, it's really incredible to, like, a true mastery of something is when you can teach it to somebody else. So if you can really teach something to someone else, like it just helps you as a person just remember your skills and even maybe you hone up on things that you forgot or whatever. So
yeah, no,
teaching's important.
I think you bring up a really good point. I remember, early on when I started going to, conferences and conventions, and they had, all the guest speakers, and all of us in our little segment of the wedding and events industry have our own conference and our own thing that we go to. And when I first started going, I really started learning a whole lot, and it really shaped and developed me into building my business. And then as I continue to keep going, some people would ask me, like, why do you keep going to these things? And I said, well, because imagine this. Number one, you really want to kind of have a pulse of what's going on in the industry. And a lot of times the people that are speaking at these conferences, that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to provide, the pulse of what's going on in the industry. They're trying to help you know what's new, what's happening, what's coming up, so on and so forth. And so sometimes it's kind of one of those things where you're like, yep, check. Yep, I'm good there. Check, I'm good there. Oh, wow, that's something I really need to get better about. That's something I really need to improve upon. So you kind of have this transition where in the beginning, you're like, oh my God, it's overload. There's so much information. And then as you start to build your business and you start implementing some of these things, then you start to be able to transition into that check mark. Oh, wait a minute. Let me write that down, because that's something that could really be a shift for me. And it could be something that's so super small, that's not a huge, like, oh my God, I'm going to rebrand my company. It could be just something as simple as the way you respond to an email or the time frame that you respond to people that inquire with your company and stuff.
Yeah, no, I can't even begin to tell everyone how much I've learned just from just watching you operate. I mean, and that's the coolest thing is watching other people work, right? You can always learn something new. Every time I go work with someone else or every time, I see how someone else operates, you're always learning something new. It's so awesome. So yeah, it's just great. I wanted to just give a quick thank you to Raymar. I know he's on here. Dude, I've been reading the book and I absolutely love it. So big shout out to him. Thank you for sending it to me. It's awesome. So I've been enjoying it.
That's so cool, dude. And
Yeah.
just a little backstory for people who are not kind of don't know where that came from. Nick and I also do a podcast together called The Rookie and the Vet. Shameless plug. If you haven't listened to it, we encourage you to listen to the podcast, The Rookie and the Vet, where we really dive into different issues together. And then we bring guests on the podcast and stuff like that to really talk about issues facing everybody in our industry and looking at them from, as the title of the podcast would tell you, Nick being the rookie in the industry. Although, man, we're not going to be able to call you that for much longer, right?
Maybe a little bit more.
We're going to have to get a new rookie pretty soon. But
right.
Looking at things from the standpoint of being a rookie and looking at the things from the standpoint of being a vet in the industry and so on and so forth. And we had Raymar on the podcast with us a while back. And man, if you want a good laugh, listen, I know that right now we're in a time frame where, we're grasping and struggling to find things to make us smile and make us happy. There's so much going on right now. There's so many challenges going on right now. And I can tell you, if you listen to this podcast, not only will you laugh through a big portion of this podcast, because we tell some pretty funny stories, but you're also going to get some incredible value out of somebody who has been in this industry for a long time, somebody who's seen so much in this industry, and somebody who continues to give back of himself to this industry. And he recently wrote a book, and so that's the book that he's written more than that book, but that was his most recent book. So that's the book that Nick was referring to, and that's again just another example of somebody in the community. Who wants to help.
Yeah, it's right, incredible. It's awesome to see. Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome to see. And I honestly, I had such genuine laughs during that podcast. It was so fun.
We probably told probably some more stories than we should have told. I don't know, man. But it was a lot of fun. We had a good time. Definitely. We had a good time for sure. All right. So I think we've talked about the mentorship side of things enough. Once again, we just really want members to get into this thought process of community, this thought process of let's all help each other create growing, sustainable businesses within the industry. This is not about you need to charge this or you need to charge that, although some of it quite honestly will be, because you really have to look at where you want to be in life. And I don't want to go too far off into this tangent, Nick, but you really have to look at where do you want your business to be and understand what that requires financially to make that happen. You can't just go into it blindly and say, oh, I'm going to charge, $800 for my service.
Right.
Without really understanding that, is that going to help you accomplish what you're really trying to accomplish with your business in the first place? So that'll be a topic for another Facebook Live. So I'm not going to go into that, but
we could go on forever.
Right. At the end of the day, I'm just saying that, we really are going to be all about loving on people, helping people, showing people how to really build their business side of what they do. And that's what we're all about. Right.
It's all love. It's all love. And it's a safe spot. I mean, I really hope people can come to this. You have to be a little bit vulnerable. I mean, I mean, obviously I was vulnerable to David in the beginning, where you have to kind of open yourself up to learning and I'm a novice, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's a safe spot. It's a safe place to be, and it's all love. So we'll do everything we can to make you feel comfortable and help everyone out as best we can.
And I think the great thing is, there in times of me helping you, there's been times where, you've taken the advice that I've given you and it's really helped you out. There's been times where I've given you advice and you've been like, screw it, I still want to do it my own way. And but hold on, some of it still worked out. Some of it that you did still worked out, and that's great. Yeah. But there were some things that you came back to me and said, I probably should have listened to you. And that's okay. that's the cool thing about growing, man. That's the cool thing about being able to help each other, you know?
That's it. That's what it is. Yep.
All right, so let's dive into the second part of this. One of the topics, we put a poll out there and asked everybody in the membership. And by the way, guys, we're going to be doing these Facebook Lives once a week, and so we're going to continue to keep putting those polls out there. We're going to continue to keep asking you, what do you want to hear about? What do you want us to talk about? What do you want us to bring people on with us to talk to you about? Because by no means are Nick and I like, you know, the wizards of everything.
Right.
There are some things that we know really well, but there's a lot of things that there are far more qualified people to come on here and help you with. And we're going to find those people, but we need to know what that is. We need you to tell us what those things are and what you're looking for and what you want us to talk about. So anyways, in this poll, the two things that came up were social media and, post-COVID events. So I think we're going to dive into social media first, if that's all right, Nick. We're going to dive into social media first, and I'm going to kind of turn this over to you. Sure. Before I do that, I do want to, I'm going to kind of just bring up on the screen again here real quick. So within our, going back again to the Facebook group, within the Facebook group, if you go on the left-hand side to the tab that says units, Nick has really worked tirelessly to put these together, and we'll continue to keep adding to these. But we have a variety of different topics. So we got business, we've got customer service, we've got life hacks, we got marketing, we've got personnel and staff, we've got sales, and we've got social media. And these are kind of the main topics that we're going to be continuing to add articles and, just resources to help you in all of these different areas. And by the way, those folks in our group that are, prolific at these kind of things are really big. Some people are really great at marketing. Some people are really great at handling a staff. Some people are awesome at sales. And of course, a lot of people are really good at social media, and a lot of people really suck at social media. And, I feel like I'm both of those people at different times of my doing my social media. So we want your input as that as well. So this is not going to be just me and Nick shoveling a bunch of our information down your throats. Naturally, in the beginning, we're probably going to be providing most of this stuff. But again, we want you to really be involved. So anyways, if you go into the social media one, we already have an article in there that Nick wrote talking about the social media complex. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. The social media complex. So Nick, I'm just going to let you kind of dive into that a little bit, and maybe we'll make that kind of the topic of discussion for now, and we'll just see where it goes.
Yeah. And one thing I will add to your, you kind of already touched on it, but just to kind of reiterate, if you guys, I love writing and I love doing the research. If there's anything that you're curious about, you're like, hey, I would love to get more information on that, just drop it in there, and I'll be happy to write an article on it, see what I can find, and share with. That's what it's all about, is just sharing the information. So anything you guys want, just please drop it in there, and I'll be happy to look into it for you. But yeah, talking about the social media stuff is it's touchy for a lot of people. It's a great tool. Social media is a phenomenal tool for your business. It's essential, I would say, because it's your interface between your potential clients and what you do. So when people get to see your business, they get to see what you're putting out there, whether it's a photograph, a video, in David's case, what an event would be like with him as the DJ, your cakes, anything, whatever it is. It's important that that's kind of that people get to see that first, but it can be really dangerous. I've had my personal problems with social media. It's been a constant battle for me with social media, trying to filter out the information. There's a lot of fake stuff on social media that you kind of have to sift through. But at the end of the day, I think it's a really great tool. So in writing that article, the biggest thing that I was thinking about in writing it was how to make social media work for your business and not control your life. Like that was the most important thing for me. When I started it, I was thinking, when I started my business, I thought I had to post 3, 4, 5 times a day. Had to be doing the stories, the Instagram stories, the Facebook stories. I had to be doing on Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram. I had to be posting all this stuff. And I felt like I was really trapped in my social media use with my business. I felt like, man, if I don't post, people are going to wonder where I'm at. And it's, I need to stay current. And to some extent, I believe you do. But that is for you to decide, and what makes you feel comfortable and what do you feel is enough for your business, where people see you and say, okay, I feel confident that he's going to provide the services that I need, and you feel confident that social media hasn't completely taken over my life. So for me, honestly, I'm posting maybe once a week, a couple times a week. I've been super inactive on social media right now with just everything going on. It's been tough for me to post, but I try to keep it to a couple times a week, and still answering comments and stuff like that. Everything on my social media is linked to my website, so I prefer to send people to my website. But honestly, Facebook is almost like a website. I mean, a Facebook page in your business is kind of like a mini website. I mean, more people, it's easier to access sometimes than a website. And if you already have a Facebook, it's sometimes that's easier for people to access. So it's just for that. The main part of that article was, just not allowing social media to control your life. I really try to limit my usage too, and not to get all, woo-woo-y on me, but I've really on you guys, but I've noticed that it's had a huge impact on how I feel mentally. Like, my mental health is a lot better. I feel more uplifted when for me, when I'm on social media less. Like, when I limit my time on social media, one of the points I made in the article was limiting your time on social media to, maybe twice a day, 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, hour a day, whatever works for you. Really, at the end of the day, you just have to find what works for you. These are just suggestions. But for me, it was 15 minutes a day. I mean, that was really all the time I needed. I hopped on Facebook. If I make a post, sometimes it's a little bit longer, but for the most part, I mean, I've really noticed that keeping off of it during the day has been huge for me and my productivity and my mental health. And when you see your competition, if you're following your competition on social media, I think sometimes it can really get in your head. And if you don't monitor that, there's nothing wrong. I think what we're doing here is we should all be a community wherever you are. If you're in Jacksonville, you're in Dallas, wherever you are in your industry, I think it's really important that you're connecting with your other competitors, and you're creating a community. But I'll be the first to admit that, it's gotten into my head where I'm seeing what other people are doing. I'm like, oh, should I be doing that, or whatever it is. And sometimes, it's take a negative toll, have a negative toll on your mental health and on your well-being. So by limiting that, to 2 times a day, to where you can just say, I'm going to check it in the morning, I'm going to go through, I'm going to like my stuff, dude, it's helped me so much that, like, I had to share that. I mean, all I can say is just try it. I mean, see if it works for you, and try it and see how it affects you. Sometimes you need more, sometimes you need less, but man, all I can say is that it's really helped me run a better business, be more efficient, be more productive, and then also just have a better outlook on everything that I'm doing. So just a couple tips. All that stuff that I wrote in there was meaningful to me on some level, that I've really taken away from just being a 20-something, too. I mean, a new business owner, being young, we're all on social media to some extent. So it's almost like a social. I feel like social media is kind of like a social experiment. David, if you want to like add in on this too, feel free. But I feel like sometimes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, sometimes, like, I feel like social media is a little bit of a social experiment, because it's like, this is brand new technology that we're so interconnected. Like, we've never experienced anything like this before. I feel like sometimes we're like the lab rats, and like, who's to say? I mean, Instagram wants to keep you on the platform as long as possible because they make money when you're on the platform. So you have to be your own moderator. I've noticed recently, if I could just be like totally honest for a second, I've been on Twitter nonstop for the past like 3 weeks, or probably 4 weeks, with everything that's going on with the coronavirus and all of the protests and stuff like that. Like, that's how I get my news. So like, I'm constantly looking for it, and it's just it was so draining to me that I was like, first of all, I was this is kind of going off topic now, but I mean, I was passively using it, which can happen. I mean, you can, in your wedding business, you can passively just be scrolling through Instagram and wasting your day just scrolling through Instagram. So, but I had to delete Twitter for a little bit, because I just found the way that I was using it was compulsive, and I was like, dude, this needs to stop. I need to take a break. And I don't know if you want to chime in on that, if you have anything to add, but I think you have to really be careful about your social media use, and it's a phenomenal tool. I really think social media is absolutely incredible when it's used the right way.
Well, I think to some extent too, you got to think about the difference between what you're doing for your business and then what you're doing in your personal life.
Yeah,
And
yeah, for sure.
that's where it becomes a little bit sticky, especially
Mhm.
when you're somebody that owns your own business.
Yeah,
If you go to a job and you go to work at 8 and you go home at 5, at 5 o'clock, that's over with. That's out of your head. It's done. Sometimes people let a little few things linger on, but for the most part, you're like, hallelujah, clock out, I'm going home. And I don't
right.
have to think about it anymore. Right. And so, at that point, you can transition and flip into your personal life. And
Yeah,
then from 5 o'clock until 8 o'clock the next morning, you're in your personal life. Right.
yeah,
For us, people, just about everybody in the wedding industry, outside of maybe people that work at a venue or maybe work for another company, but even if you work for another company, to some extent, you're still an independent contractor and you still kind of work for yourself. So we're very much a big group of people who all are, we own our own business and we do our own thing. And by the way, guys that are watching, put some comments. Let us know what you guys think about this stuff. If you got something you want to add to the conversation, please don't hesitate to make a
yeah,
comment. Please don't hesitate. Brian's saying politic posts are dangerous. Man, absolutely right, man. You got to be careful, man. You got to be aware of what you're putting in your head and what you're pumping in your brain. But
yeah,
again, not to get too off topic, again, like I said, though, feel free to add comments. Let us know what you guys are
yeah.
thinking. We want you involved in the conversation. But to me, when you're a business owner and you don't really have that separation between business and personal, and like for me, like it's 24 hours a day, like I'm constantly thinking about business. And so you are kind of meshing those times together where
Hmm.
you're like, well, am I really on here for personal reasons or am I on here for business reasons? Right.
Yeah,
And that's a self-evaluation. That's a self-check that you got to give yourself and say, okay, what exactly is it that that I want to accomplish here with this social media? And the cool thing is there's so many different things. Like I know the iOS version now, it gives you like tracking of how long you've been on there. And if it's
yeah,
something that's really a problem, that might be something that's worth using. That might be something that's worth implementing, at least for a little while, to try to condition yourself and try to help yourself really get into a groove where you're going to be able to you're going to be able to be more productive when you're on social media.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll say on David's point, I tried the monitoring system in Instagram, and it kicks you off the app. I love it. I mean, it's fantastic. I set it for 30 minutes for the entire day. When that 30 minutes is up, I'm not going back on the app. It's fantastic. iOS devices in general, I mean, this could extend beyond anything. I mean, if you find yourself like, man, I'm really being unproductive, like I need to limit my time on a certain app, you can go into different apps on that screen time thing, and on a screen time feature in on your iPhone, and you can literally set limits for your stuff. If you're like, man, I'm on YouTube way too much, you can go set a 30-minute hour time limit on YouTube or whatever you got to do. So yeah, no, great features.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that, the thing, it's so funny. So to me, I've always felt like social media is almost antisocial. Like we really get
Yeah,
clammed up into our phone and we really get clammed up
yeah,
into our own little world here. And,
hmm,
you think about how quickly you just hit a heart or you hit a like button and then you just move
yeah,
on. And
yep.
it's like,
It's
that's not real genuine engagement. It's
no,
almost like, it's almost like, I feel obligated to do it. I don't want them to think that I
yeah,
don't like what they're saying or
yeah,
doing or whatever. And there's no genuine engagement. And it's so easy to slough off engagement with a like. God
yeah,
forbid, maybe a comment. And if you're really, 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 really nice, even a share. Right. But we're
right.
talking like you got nothing else to do today. You're just going to start sharing people's stuff. Right. And
Yeah,
hardly any of us do that. So it's tough. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I like your point how you said about a like it's so short lived. It really is. I mean, it's super ephemeral, but also I think that it's a starting point. I don't think it should be the end for that interaction. I think it's a great starting point. A
Yeah.
tweet, a post, it's a great starting point, but how can we take the conversation further? And how can we start, like, if your relationship with someone is only on social media, I think that's a problem.
Right.
I really feel like it's a great place to meet, and I think that's what this is kind of all about. I mean, sometimes, there's, distance, barriers and stuff like that. I have, great people that, I've engaged with and I've become friends with on Instagram from California. Obviously it's hard to get out there, but I mean, I think social media is a great starting point, and then you can go from there. You know what I mean? If that makes
Well, and
any
of course,
sense.
yeah, and of course, and there's some limitations to, to what social media will allow you to do as well. Like, for example, when I started inviting people to be a part of this group, I really wanted to put a personal message with it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to just, send somebody an invite and that be it, without them
Mhm.
really understanding what I'm inviting them to, because people get invites all day long, and it's easy to just go on, create a group or create a Facebook page and go on there and just
Yep.
invite all,
Yeah.
right? Well,
Yeah.
first of all, that wouldn't even make sense for me to do that in this particular group, because I do have friends, believe it or not, I do have friends outside of the industry, right?
Yeah.
That would have no reason to be a part of this group. And so it really had to be a little bit more of a curated, a little bit more time invested in looking through my people and looking through, and I'm still doing it, by the way. So if you're watching this or you hear this and you haven't been invited yet, it's not because I don't love you, and it's not because I don't want you to be a part of the group. I'm just trying to rifle through the people and get everybody invited to it. And again, I encourage all of you that are members already, and especially those of you who are listening right now, if you know somebody in the wedding industry that could benefit from being a part of this group, please invite them. Seriously, please
Yeah.
invite them to be a part of this group. Nick, I want to jump into a couple
Yeah.
questions here, and
Let's get these questions.
we'll just kind of riff about this a little bit. So,
Yeah.
can political commentary on your personal page affect your business?
Oof.
You want to take that one first?
Yeah, I do. I think political stuff is very divisive in the society, man, especially in America. So my answer to that, unfortunately, is yeah. I think it can affect your business for sure. Um, I really try to avoid that stuff, especially on my business page. Personal page, your personal stuff. If you want to make that private, go ahead. You're entitled to do whatever you want to do, and you're entitled to your beliefs and your values. So by all means. But I really try to separate the political stuff from business. I know it's like if you don't take a stance, you fall for anything, or whatever the saying is. But I really try to separate that kind of stuff, because for me, I have my own values and my own stuff, and I really don't think that political beliefs should keep anyone from wanting to work with me or wanting to interact with me. At the end of the day, we're all people. Like, that's the most important thing to me, is like, we're people and we're all human beings, like, on earth, and we can all interact and connect with each other. So I definitely don't want politics, to get in the way of that, for sure.
I think you bring some very good points up, and just to kind of piggyback on those points, I think, the reality is, could it affect your business? Absolutely. Naturally, it's going to affect your business by the fact that anybody who doesn't agree with your point is potentially going to get turned off by your point.
Yeah.
Does that mean you should stop? Not necessarily.
Yeah, it's your choice.
We still, hopefully that doesn't go away, but we still, to the most extent, have freedom of speech. And so you're entitled to voice your opinion. I had this conversation earlier today with somebody, and I said, I think right now some people are really scared to say things and really walking around a little bit on eggshells and stuff like that. And I think that you need to remember that it's okay to say how you feel, but remember that you have to be willing to accept the repercussions or the back end of that. You put your feelings out there in the world. And this is the other thing too. You have to look at every situation, again, purely my opinion, you have to look at every situation with an open heart and an open mind and say,
Yes.
this is how I feel. I understand that maybe you don't feel the same way. I also understand that you may have information that I don't have that may make me feel a different way after we've had this conversation.
Yeah.
Assuming that it even gets to the point of a conversation. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think as long as you're willing to, number one, as long as you're willing to deal with what could come from posting things, I've personally just always lived by the fact that I don't post things about politics. I don't really post things about religion. I'm not ashamed of my religious beliefs, but I just know the kind of society we live in. And I think that there's just some things that are off limits to talk about in a public forum. Social media is a public forum. And
Yeah.
therefore, I think that you just really got to be careful. I'm not telling everybody stop posting stuff. Feel free to post anything you want to post, but really just understand that there's definitely going to be somebody out there. There's definitely going to be people out there that are not going to agree with you. And you have to be open-minded and willing to listen to them, because it's not fair for you to want to post something and then shut out the rest of the world that disagrees with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it can be honestly, it can be a great start to a phenomenal conversation. I mean, if you're willing to keep an open mind, keep an open heart, and sympathize with that person, everyone's entitled to their beliefs and their values, man. I've seen so much stuff recently on social media that, maybe off the cuff, I don't necessarily agree with, but when you stop and realize and you say, oh, hold on, let me look at this person's perspective, let me see where they're coming from, and they feel heard, I think that's what it's all about. So, I mean, personally, I don't post things, on my personal stuff. I try to, navigate away from it. But if you're willing to have the conversation, you're willing to keep an open mind, I think it can be phenomenal. I mean, I think having the conversation could be really, really helpful. I think we do need to. I think as a society, we probably need to be having these rational, heart-to-heart conversations where we can really begin to understand each other, for sure.
Yeah, no, and I don't think anybody should ever be afraid to express their feelings and express how they feel about certain things and how they feel about what's going on in their lives, what's going on in the world. But I do think that people have to, like I said, I do think that people have to be willing to accept that, there's going to be people out there that just are not going to agree with you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. So, so I think I hope that helps. I don't know really much more we can say about that, but I hope that helps. Moving on to our next question here. This is from Austin, my good buddy Austin. Man, dude, seriously, man, I miss you, bro. We need to hang out real soon because you always make me laugh. And he's also my Wu-Tang buddy, man. He's my right hand man when it comes to the Wu-Tang. So his question, you guys, we might have to work on grammar here, bro. You guys ever pay for Facebook advertising, and was it worthwhile? Do you want to kind of jump on that, Nick?
Sure, because
Okay,
I've paid for all kinds of advertising.
Okay, so let me let you take
Sure.
lead on that, and then I'll kind of jump in wherever.
Yeah, so I paid for it's all good, man. I paid for Facebook advertising. And I've also paid for Instagram. I guess Instagram, is owned by Facebook, but I've done both on both platforms. I promoted stuff on Twitter. I mean, I've done all kinds of stuff. I noticed that my best results from all of those places are when they're very, very niche down. Like, I don't just post, I did a few different tests. I tried doing a really broad test where I let Instagram automatically pick it based on people I'm following. I've gotten nothing from that. When I niched it down to people that are looking at engagement hashtags, when people are looking at wedding hashtags, when people are looking in St. Augustine and Jacksonville, I've noticed I've gotten a lot of people reaching out in the DMs for that stuff. And I do some other kind of video work too. I did a lot of stuff in the fitness industry, and I got a lot of great results from from the fitness industry as well. I've gotten a few leads from weddings as well. The good news about the Facebook and the Instagram advertising, well, Facebook moreover, is Facebook advertising is super cheap. I mean, I haven't found anything where I can advertise for that little of a price and have that much reach in that. So yeah, I would start with Facebook. If you're just getting into it, I would start with Facebook. And then if you want to work into Instagram, I love how in Facebook advertising, you can literally go into targeting people that are engaged, are from this group to this group, this age to this age in this area. And then you can really niche it down, and I think you just become so much more effective. Just my take on it.
Sure. I have some really, really good friends that are very prolific at this stuff. And we're going to be bringing them on because this is probably, let's be honest, if COVID-19 wasn't such a big deal, this is probably one of the, this is probably one of the biggest topics of discussion that comes up over and over and over again. And, all of those friends of mine who, by the way, independently work, they don't all work together. They work independently from each other. They've all told me one common thing, which is when it comes to Facebook advertising, when it comes to any kind of internet advertising, you really have to test. And you really have to be willing to say, this is all on your own budget. Okay. I'm going to throw a dollar amount out there. May not make sense. $200. You really have to be willing to say, I'm going to spend $200 or I'm going to spend $500. And what I'm doing with that money is learning what people engage with more.
Yeah.
And then that's when the advertising starts. So just about every one of them have all told me some variation of that. And so I think for anybody that's looking to diving into internet marketing, that is something you got to think about right off the bat. And you have to understand the first $100, the first $200, you're probably not going to, you're in your mind, you're not going to see any results. But what you really are seeing is you're seeing, again, what people are engaging with and what people are not engaging with, so you can stay away from the latter.
Yeah, I mean, the first few times I threw money into into Facebook advertising were pretty fruitless, but they weren't because, like David said, I mean, I was able to really start to niche it around. You're going to have to play with some of the stuff. What hashtags are people looking at on Instagram? Who's engaging with this kind of stuff on Facebook? Okay, this post didn't do so well, or I need to navigate into this type of content or whatever it is. People like to see like drone footage versus people like to watch like the full highlight videos. Like you have to play around with it. But I've noticed I've gotten some really good results from playing around with niching down into certain hashtags specifically. So
yeah, so I mean, I really think Austin, hopefully that helps you out, man. I really think that it's one of those things where you can't necessarily maybe answer it in a nutshell. You can't really answer it in just one conversation. But it's definitely something that I know is important to everybody in our industry because, let's be honest, the people that are getting married, the people that are doing events, that's where they are. They're online. Mm-hmm. They're doing stuff online, and we've got to be able to get to those people, and we've got to be able to effectively get to those people.
Yeah, the good news is it's cheap. I mean, in comparatively to other types of advertising, I mean, it's pretty cheap. I mean, I threw around $25-$50 in the beginning just to kind of, test the waters and try to get things right, to fine tune it. And then once I figured it out, like, oh, wow, I spent $100 the first time and got this amount of engagement, but then I only spent $25 and I got all this engagement. And then you can start playing around with it. And once you fine tune it, man, it feels good. So yeah.
Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does. All right. So Nick, anything else on kind of social media here, maybe?
I mean, from my personal experience, if it helps anyone out, be mindful, be intentional with your social media. I mean, just be intentional with your use. I noticed that for anything that I'm doing in my life, intentionality is really important for me. So yeah, I think the most for me, social media it's a tool. I mean, I try to look at things as being utilitarian, you know, and I try to be really intentional about my use of my time and my social media. And I think like I just feel better and more productive and when I am intentional with this stuff versus when I'm just passively scrolling through it and you know, not really, you know, engaging the way I want to engage with it. But I noticed for me, uh, you know, Instagram. I mean, these the problem with social media is that these engineers are working like it's their job to get you to stay on the app. I mean, that's the problem with it because then you know they can show you more ads and you get paid more, which I guess is kind of good for us. You know, if you you can you know hack your use, but um, yeah, just be intentional about your time on the platform and be intentional with your time in general, and you know start real conversations with people. I mean, the thing about social media that I think is so cool is like you can connect with people that you know you would have never been able to connect with before. So use it really intentionally and use it as a tool and you know don't use it. I really hate when or I should, hate's a strong word. I just don't like when you use it as a as a brag site. So like when you just go on there to just brag and brag, like when I share something on social media, like I genuinely want to share it with people, with other vendors, with you know clients. Like I'm like I enjoy this and enjoy this so much that I want to share it with you and there's some value in it that I think you could get out of it. So just be intentional is all I would say.
Yeah, me and Raymar, who hopefully is still on with us. Me and Raymar used to always talk about how, you know, you don't want to necessarily utilize it to be a puff piece all the time. Kind of
Yes.
use that
Yeah.
phrase puff piece. You know, listen, there's nothing wrong with using it as an advertisement source for your
Yeah.
business, because quite frankly, that's part of why
What
it's
it's
there
for.
for. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But advertise with passion,
Yes.
advertise with compassion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, remember that there's enough business out there for all of us.
Yeah.
And if we can help each other and we can help each other grow and we can help each other. I mean, heck, there's people in this group that quite frankly are my competitors, and that's okay with me. There's people in this group that are your competitors, you know?
Yeah.
And that's not really to me what it's all about, man.
It's not
It's
a
really about if I can help you get better and you can help me get better and we can all help this industry get better, then we all have a better chance of surviving in this industry because we already have
yeah.
so many strikes against us as it is, right?
Yeah.
So why not help each other? Why not help each
Yeah.
other grow? And why not, again, do it with integrity and do it with the purpose of wanting to genuinely see that person prosper?
Yeah. Just one more point back to the social media that you said that really like when you said um, advertise with intention or you know do it with compassion. One of the best ways that I found to do that, I always love to just thank the couples. Like I love to get them on social media. Um, I love to get their social media handles. I like to follow them and engage with them. And then at like once it's all said and done for me, it's a video or you know I love to share that video like because that you know is the advertisement essentially sometimes. Um, and I love to say, hey, you know what, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this event, you know, and let it come from the heart. I mean, really allow them to uh, just be genuine with and just say, you know, man, yeah, I'm just so grateful I was allowed to be a part of this event and I enjoyed it so much. I mean, just let it come from a place that's very genuine in your advertising, and I'm telling you, it resonates. And if you're being real and you're being authentic, people will see it for sure. So
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, one of my good buddies here, Brian, who is a DJ as well. You know, healthy competition is great. I agree. You know, and of everything in that statement, the first word is the first word is the most important word, healthy. And if
healthy.
it's done in a healthy fashion and it's
Yeah.
done again with integrity and done for the right reasons, it definitely is. It definitely is. And then Austin said, plenty of meat on the wedding bone for all of us. I agree with that too, man.
Yeah.
Definitely plenty of meat on that bone for all of us.
Yeah.
And even during this slow time,
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of, there's a lot of really cool things going on. So, All right, so guys, just to remind you, not only with social media, but with a lot of different topics. If you go to the, let me take this stuff off the screen here. If you go to the group that we've invited you to be a part of, and you go to the units tab, I think that's such a funny name, but anyways,
Like
I feel like
school.
they could, I feel like they could have called it something other than that. Because half of us have a dirty mind, and the other half of us, think of it as school, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, if you go to that part of the if you go to that part of the group, you will find the different topics here. Again, business, customer service, life hacks, marketing, personnel, sales, social media. It might look a little different on your end. Of course, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of the moderator, or excuse me, the admin of the group. But the really cool thing is we've got this set up so you can really kind of go through, and you can see here like 0 out of 7 units completed. So you can really check these things off as you do them and keep track of the things that you've read. And you'll also be able to know when there's new things added to it for you, so you can continue to keep growing from those things. And guys, I have to give all the credit in the world to Nick for these, because Nick is the guy writing these things. Nick is the guy that he said units. Nice. Nick is the guy who's really writing a lot of these things for us right now. But again, I have to say it again, we really want the involvement of this community. So if you like to write, if writing is your deal, then please, by all means, we want to have, guest writers too, right, Nick?
Yes, dude. I mean, if you want to get into writing, or you're trying to start your own blog, or you want to, get into that, we'll talk about blogs, on another Facebook Live. But yeah, if you're passionate about writing, or even you want to learn how to write, I mean, I went to college not for that, but I mean, I'm a decent writer. But if anyone wants tips on how to write, we can start that up too. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Brian, thank you for that, Brian. That's very kind of you. Thank you. And then of course the other thing too is our website. So weddingbusinessgrowth.com. Pretty easy to remember. Weddingbusinessgrowth.com. You'll find all of these long written posts by Nick, and then as we have other writers join us and add their information in there as well, that'll be another resource to you as a member of the group, where you can access that information. I'm floating all over my screen here, but you can access that information about the different things that Nick has written, and our guest writers will include as well.
Yeah, dude. I mean, the most important part about this is that it's a community. I mean, my opinion's great, but maybe I guarantee you, there's someone that's going to join this group that's going to know more about things than you or I do. We want to,
Absolutely.
that's the thing. Like, we want to hear from you all, and if you have something that you feel like you can contribute, I mean, this is the space to do it. I mean, it's community. That's what it's all about.
By all means. Well, I think we have attacked social media for enough for one night. It was just kind of a little bit of a taste, a little bit of a, here's where we are, and kind of our experience in that. The last thing that we're going to chat about tonight, and by the way, those of you guys that have been on with us from the beginning, thank you. We're already an hour and 10 minutes in, Nick. So hopefully this is some good content. Hopefully this is some stuff that people really want to hear and really can gain something from. And, I always liked the people that would give a presentation. For example, we were talking earlier about conferences and seminars and things like that. And I always loved the people that gave you actionable steps that you could literally go home either the next day or that night. If you're out of town, you could go to your hotel room when you left the presentation and implement these things right away. And that's what I want us. That's a commitment that I want us to give to the people that are going to be a part of this group.
We must have telepathy, because I was literally thinking the same thing. Like, what actionable steps could I give someone to take away from the social media thing? I would say, in terms of social media, if you feel like you are like, man, I'm on social media a lot, and feel like I'm wasting a lot of time, try limiting your time on social media. Use some of the what David said, the time management applications in your iPhone if you have it, or just set a timer. I mean, try it, see what works for you, or what you need to do, or at least be like aware of how you're using social media. I think, just try it. I mean, what would you say, David, on an
Yeah,
actionable step?
I think that is definitely one that's important is to think about what I said before, that as a business owner, you are constantly walking that line between personal and professional. It's healthy to be able to spend time doing both. However, it's important to monitor, as you were saying, it's
Yeah,
important to monitor the time when you're doing both and deciding which one for you. And this is going to be different for everybody. This is not going to
yeah,
be the same for me as you and everybody else. It's going to be different for everybody. What is the most productive time for you? I mean, I can be
yeah,
honest with you, Nick. I commend you. I commend you for being able to stay committed to doing, 30 minutes, maybe a little longer on
yeah.
social media. And I'm here to tell you guys, uh,
That's
I'm
not for
just gonna
everyone.
I'm just gonna say it. Sometimes I get mad because Nick doesn't respond to me as quickly on social media sometimes as I like him
Yeah,
to.
yeah, dude. I mean, sometimes, yeah, and communication is the most important thing in that. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
you have to understand, like, everyone's different on that. So
yeah,
David's on social media. Like, if you know David, man, he's like always the first one to like my post. Like, he's always just very engaged, and there's nothing wrong with that. But my personality type is one where dude, if I didn't have to have social media, if I didn't have a business, I don't think I would have social media, to be totally
yeah.
honest with you. But you have to find what works for you. I mean, I'm not, everyone's going to be different. I might be extreme in that where, you might need more than 30 minutes, you might need an hour, you might need 2 hours, you might, whatever it is, but find what works for you and find what makes you feel comfortable. Because if, if David is using his social media the way he is, and he has no, he feels fine every day, that's what works for him. If I use social media, I notice in myself when I use it too much, my head starts to go down the toilet. So you just have to find what works for you, and everyone's going to be different. So 30 minutes is like it's probably pretty extreme, but find what works for you is what I would say. Test it out. And for me, what I've noticed is when I stay off of it, like I'm more productive. There might be, David might say, "Oh, dude, I can multitask and I'm looking at social media and I'm answering emails and I'm doing all this stuff." For me, you just have to find what works for you and what makes you
Well,
feel most healthy.
and the other thing too, I want to say, I'm not literally like mad at you or
No,
anything
I
like
know, I'm
that
fine.
for that kind of stuff. But here's this is the really cool thing to me about all of this is that it kind of ties in with what we were talking about earlier, where I really can learn a lot from you doing that, and that process of how you're doing things. That's something that I can really learn from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a constant. It's like this constant game of ping pong. We're
Hmm.
constantly playing ping pong back and forth with each other,
Yeah.
and it's awesome. Like it really
Yeah.
is so cool because we both benefit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
benefit from my experience, and I benefit from your sometimes being wiser than me.
Yeah. Right.
So,
But yeah.
yeah, I think those are some of the actionable things I think from my end that I
Yeah.
think could really be beneficial.
Yeah. I mean, I could talk about this stuff literally forever. So, whenever you want to move on.
That's okay. I think we will. I think we've definitely addressed the fact that this is a topic that we could talk about just for
Yeah.
one specific live. I mean, today
Hmm.
we spent a good portion of the beginning of our live just kind of introducing wedding business growth and so some of the initiatives and things that we really hope to accomplish with the group. So that but we'll definitely come back to this topic
Yeah.
again. And we'll
Yeah.
get some folks on here that are really going to help you guys a lot.
Hmm.
So, all right, man. So here we go. We're going to talk a little bit for the remainder of our time. We're going to talk a little bit about post
Some post-COVID.
COVID-19 events. Now, before we start, I really want to emphasize the fact that number one, I'm not really sure what exactly people were wanting us to talk about as it pertains to that. So if anybody's watching and has questions in that realm of post COVID-19 events that or not even questions, but topics or things that you'd like us to discuss, please drop those in the comment and we'll jump on those things. Secondly, neither one of us work for the CDC. Neither one of us work for the city of Jacksonville or the city of St. Augustine or the city of wherever you live in, fill in the blank.
The World Health Organization.
Yeah, neither one of us work for who. So at the end of the day, the only thing we can really do is just kind of talk a little bit about our thoughts, where we feel things might be. I have a few ideas on suggestions and things like that to offer to people. So Brian says safety precautions. Absolutely, man. So that's probably a really good starting point. A really good starting point. And I think that's going to be something that is going to be different from vendor to vendor. So from the standpoint of video, Nick, maybe, and photo, the
Sure.
like, have there been things that you've really thought about as far as precautions and going into this thing?
Yeah, especially because when you're getting certain shots, you can get pretty close to the bride and groom on the tighter shots. I actually found that a lot of people in the industry and a lot of people just in general are using longer focal lengths to kind of get those shots. So you don't have to be as close to the person if you can afford it. I have a few different lenses. I've switched more closer to 70 millimeters on a lot of my video stuff just because it puts the distance between us. But then I'm also going to take the precautions of, I'm going to wear a mask. Who knows what they do? Again, like David said, I'm not a health professional. All I can do is, take the guidance of what the CDC and the World Health Organization say. And most are recommending a mask right now. So, wear a mask, take the precautions that you can. But from the video side of things, I think focal lengths is a really good idea if you can afford it. But if not, people understand that, and your bride and groom understand that you're going to be next to them for the wedding. If you're there to video or photograph their wedding, they're fully aware that you're going to be close to them. You could even maybe put out, an email, maybe a week before the event, say, hey guys, I know everything that's going on with the coronavirus is kind of scary. I'm going to do my best to kind of, maintain social distance, but, if you feel uncomfortable at any time, feel free to tell me to step back a little bit. Just have an open conversation, communicate with them. Communication is the key to everything. You can't operate in a vacuum. You don't know what they're thinking. So just have that conversation maybe before the event, in terms of the photography and videography side of things. And just get a sense for how comfortable or uncomfortable they're going to be. And just, this is the time where, to work with your clients. You're going to have to really, work hard, listen really well, and make sure you're, respecting what they want. I've had clients come up to me and say, yeah, get all up in my face. And I want you to be really, I want the tight shots. I don't care what you have to do. I trust you, whatever. And then there's other clients that say, yeah, no, I really like the idea of maintaining the social distance, and you just have to respect either one. But communication is the most important. One more thing that you could do. Tests are hard to get. I actually got tested like weeks ago, because I thought I was exposed. If you can get tested, that's just a feather in the cap to say, hey, you could put an email, hey, just to let you guys know, I have been tested. I tested negative around the time of the event. If you can do that, great. If not, not the end of the world, but, just a suggestion. But I'll definitely be wearing a mask at the events, if anything, just to make people feel more comfortable. At the end of the day, I want to set everyone at ease. As a vendor, like, I want to set people at ease. I want their minds to be at ease, and I want them to see me taking the precautions so that they don't get sick. David?
Yeah. So I'll be honest with you, I maybe have a little bit of a different approach on that. If anybody asked me to wear a mask, then I would obviously respect their wishes and do that. Partially, maybe part because of my job, having to speak on a microphone and things like that.
Yeah.
I think it would be extremely challenging. I think it would be, I don't know. At the end of the day, the bottom line is, I think the most important thing that we can do is, number one, be respectful to our clients. Like, I have some events coming up that have been polar opposite of each other. So one, one of the clients said to me, listen, I would like for you to just make an announcement. Hey guys, please just remember to be, to be socially responsible, blah, blah, blah. By no means does this client want me to be like the dance floor police, like, okay, you need to be this far apart from each
Right.
other. We're going to stop the music, like nothing
Prom.
like that. Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing
prom
like
police.
that. But they do want us to at least in good faith say, hey, just a reminder, we'd like for you all to be socially responsible, follow the guidelines that are in place if you feel you need to. If you have any concerns or anything at all like that, see somebody here from the venue and they'll help you out. And that's kind of where that conversation stopped. Well, then I had another client who said, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but basically said, if you say anything at all about COVID-19 or masks or 6 feet or any of that stuff at all, I'm going to just want to fire you right on the spot. I don't want any of that stuff to be discussed at my event at all. Now, they didn't really maybe say it as harsh as that, but that's what I took from it. That's what I took from it. So it's really going to be a case by case basis.
Yeah.
It could potentially be a venue by venue basis. The venue itself that you're working in may have some guidelines of their own. And that could vary between a venue that is independently owned or that is corporately owned. They have multiple locations, either locally or around the country or something like that. We're typically talking about hotels and stuff like that. So that is something that you really have to take into consideration. So I think out of courtesy, out of professional courtesy, and again, this is what we're talking about, being respectful to each other and being, working together and not working against each other. I don't think there's really anything wrong with reaching out to the venue that you're going to be working at and just saying, hey, what guidelines do you guys have in place? What should I be aware of coming into the situation? I don't want to walk in, for example, if it's a venue where they say, everybody has to wear masks, then I don't want to walk in there and not have a mask and automatically seem like I'm that guy that's just like, I'm not wearing a mask. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to be that way. Yeah. So if you're able to kind of get that information and then also have that conversation with your client, hey, how would you like us to handle the situation? I've also, so here's a funny thing too, while I'm thinking about all this stuff, I've also heard about people saying that it's going to be the DJ's responsibility to make sure that people are staying 6 feet apart from each other and stuff like that.
That's crazy.
And I'm just like, I don't really know how well that's going to go over, I think we're at the point of this now that people understand enough about it. Maybe we don't understand everything about it yet. And at the point in time of us recording this, we don't necessarily have a vaccine and things like that. But I think we're all adult and aware enough to know that if you feel like it could be something that you could be susceptible to and you don't feel comfortable, then maybe it's a good idea to not attend the event. This is where somebody like you could come into play and you could offer that client a streaming service for that person to be in attendance without being in the building. You know what I mean? So that there are some things about what's going on. And that's the same thing for Austin too. I don't know if Austin's still on with us, but that's the same thing for him. These are services that can be offered to a client where it kind of becomes, I think the term that people are using right now is a hybrid event. Some people are attending online, some people are attending in person. So, don't be afraid of those things. Don't be afraid to offer those things. And even as another vendor, if you have relationships with people like, I have a relationship with Nick and with Austin and a lot of really great people that do photo and video stuff. Austin said he's still here. Love it.
Nice.
I have a great relationship with all these guys. So if I'm working on an event with them and this is not a service that they've offered, first and foremost, I would probably at least reach out to them and say, hey, is this a service you can offer? And if it is, I don't mind saying to the client when I'm talking to them, hey, I know that you have, XYZ, videographer that's going to be with you. I also know the fact that they do offer a kind of a hybrid service. It might be worth looking into for your guests that can't be in attendance or maybe are on the fence about being in attendance. So,
Two
Go
things to
ahead.
add.
Sorry. Yeah.
So I see Brian said masks might be tough for a DJ, definitely, for sure. So that's an exception for sure. I mean, you have to find what works. I mean, look, as a videographer, I'm not really talking to them too much. And communication, I think David hit on it. Additionally, like, um, yeah, communication is the most important thing. Talk to your couple, see what they say, see what they do. I mean, everyone's different, so you just see what they want and just try to cater to them the best you can. And then another thing I would say, yeah, if you're a videographer out there and you're watching this or listening to this, streaming is like such an awesome horizontal shift that you can make in your business where you can sidestep and do events. I mean, it's super super easy to do live streaming. If you guys need help with it or anything, you want to show, if you don't know how to do it and want to figure it out, I can be happy to show you guys. It's really not that hard. And it would go a long way for your clients where they say, wow, like he can offer that service. That's to the people that, are maybe more susceptible to getting sick, the elderly, whatever. That's really awesome that you could put their mind at ease to say, hey, if you don't want to come, you can still have this, service,
And it may not be a lucrative service, and it's not really designed that way anyways to be a lucrative service for you, but
Yeah.
it is something that that should be considered, and it's something that should be available to clients.
Yeah, especially right now.
Outside of that, I think it's just one of those things where we really all don't know what's going to happen. But we need to be aware of what's going on. We need to be in tune with what's going on. And, we just need to be cognizant of being respectful to the industry, being respectful to our clients, being respectful to the situation. And in doing that, then I think we're in good shape.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of what it is, if you follow your fundamental values of respect, compassion, open communication, and just genuinely caring for your couple and for everyone, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. This is all like new territory for us to have to navigate. And there's going to be, ebbs and flows in it. But as long as you stick to your principles, I think you're going to be just fine. Just stay safe. So.
Yeah. And, Brian was saying here that, streaming is the future. I think in events, it really is from the standpoint of video, from the standpoint of audio. I think you're going to start seeing a lot of streaming things happening a lot more often with events. And so it is definitely something to be aware of and how to utilize, So, all right. Well, I don't know, man. I don't really have much else as it pertains to that. Anybody who's watching, if you guys have any last minute questions or last minute, just little bullet points that maybe you want us to jump on and kind of speak on, we'll definitely be happy to do that. But I can't really think of anything otherwise in this topic. How about you, Nick?
Yeah. I mean, the last thing I'll say is like, I kind of already talked about how I hate to use the word unprecedented, but I mean, it is like
Let's call it uncharted. Let's call it uncharted.
Yeah. We're in uncharted territory right now. Like this is so new for everyone. And yeah, I mean, it's all just brand new stuff. Like we've never had to do this before. So, oh yeah. And you made a great point, Brian, about having an extra microphone. I think that's phenomenal. That to me, that puts if I'm a guest at a wedding and you have a microphone that you have extra that you're not using that you can just give to them, I think that's fantastic.
Yep, absolutely. Without a doubt. Okay, I'm just kind of going through things.
Would it be a problem where we recommend? I don't think it's a problem. Do you think it's a problem passing the mic around? I really don't think it is. I mean, what do you think about wiping it down?
Yeah. So when I it's so funny. I'll never forget when all of this first started, and I had a wedding that I was doing, and it was look at this, Nick. Can I get an autograph? That's hilarious. Austin, you're, and I know this is Austin. That's so funny. Austin, you should have let the StreamYard program allow you to put your name there, so we could give you credit for your comments. But That's too funny. So when all of this first started, man, I was doing an event, and I was just like, man, I got to really be socially responsible here. But there are people that are going to be using the microphone, and there are people that, for the toast and the blessing and so on and so forth. And so, and you remember when that craze where nobody could find any kind of Lysol and all that stuff anywhere? This is right around that time frame. And luckily I had one of those little small things of light. Oh, it was Ray. I thought it was, that's hilarious. It was Ray. I thought it was, see, I can't see in the group, so I can only see them come up within our program here. So if you haven't accepted to let your name be shown, I'm taking a stab in the dark of who it was, but that was Ray. That's hilarious.
I'll have to have wipe me. Brian's like, I'll have to have wipe me down looped between speeches.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's thinking outside the box. I like that.
Yeah.
So anyways, I had the Lysol thing with me, and I was like very adamant about, I said what I needed to say. I introduced the dad to come give the blessing, and then I sprayed the microphone, and I think I just put myself on mute.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay now? You got me?
You're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was everybody kind of chuckled about it and had a laugh about it at that point in time. But I think it is smart. I think it is definitely important to take those type of precautions, just to show people that you're aware of the fact that this thing is something that should be taken seriously. And this is something that we all have to find our level of comfortability and social responsibility in it.
Yeah.
So but I have heard of some people, most specifically DJs, because naturally that's the realm that I kind of live within. I have heard some DJs that have basically said, listen, we're not going to offer, and this was maybe early on when we didn't know as much as we know about all this stuff, but they were kind of like, look, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to have a microphone for people to use. Or I've heard like photo booth companies have, completely done away with any kind of physical props, which, by the way, I think that's nasty in the first place, having a bunch of people put the same thing on all night long and they're sweating and anyways.
A helmet right over your head.
Right. I don't know. That just, it gets me, right. But so those are some of the things that I've heard people say, but it has to be a combination of your level of comfortability. And, to Brian's point, he mentioned, bringing a separate mic for people to use and so on and so forth, but they may not even be comfortable with that. If you've got 2 or 3 people giving a speech, the first person might be okay with it, but the second and third person, who knows if they will or won't be okay with it. You just never know.
Yeah. And that's where you have to communicate with the wedding party and understand things. And I know Brian went in there and said, get some wipes. I mean, anything you can do to kind of to display that you're being responsible I think that's a win. But the communication is it's going to be the most important thing during this time, to make sure everyone's on the same page.
And this is definitely an area where, heck, I couldn't even begin to dive in all of the levels of responsibility for caterers and people making cakes and sweets and treats and stuff like that. Like I can imagine they have a huge things that they've got to deal with and expectations that they have.
Yeah, that's next level. Yeah.
But all right, who just jumped in? Hey, sorry I'm late, but stoked about these video chats. Thank you for that. I'll have to go back and look at, I don't even know who that is. I'll have to go back and look and see. Oh, it's Michelle. Hey, Michelle. Oh, you guys, we have a treat for you. Michelle I got to go back to so Nick, it's so funny. Like I have to go back to the page here and see who these folks are. But we have a treat for everybody. Michelle's going to be joining us before you know it. And she's got some really great stuff coming down the pike here. But again, at the end of the day, guys, it's really just one of those things where she said she's still trying to figure out how to allow her access. That's too funny. Well, I know Michelle, I know you told me you were going to be going out tonight for So hopefully some fun times with friends and stuff like that. So, but we're glad that you can make it on here for us. And here we go. We've been riffing for an hour and a half. We said we were probably going to do, in the beginning, I think we said we were going to probably do like 30 minutes. And then it's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
maybe we'll go for an hour. And now we're at an hour and 36 minutes. And that's okay. Like, to me, this is great. Just being able to talk to this stuff about this stuff and everything. Right. But going again back to what we're talking about here, the bottom line is this, and let's get back again to that actionable step things that we're talking about. So action step number 1, over communicate. I really think that is a key. Over communicate. Don't be afraid to go the extra mile. Talk to your client, talk to your venue, talk to the other vendors that are going to be working there. Are there any protocols that collectively you guys should think about doing together? Really, honestly, that's a topic and a part of all this that I haven't really heard too many people really talk about. But I think it's important, like we really should be aware of how we can help each other make sure that we're being able to do our jobs independently, but collectively as safely as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Communication, especially during this time, like I don't know how many times I can say this, but it is the most important thing, because you're not a mind reader, and you don't know what your couple's thinking. You don't know what their wedding party's thinking. You have to be able to communicate and say, what are you comfortable with? Given the circumstances, like let's try to map it out. So, and I think most couples will be pretty receptive to that, just because we're all living through this, you know what I mean? So we're all aware of what's going on. But yeah, no, great point.
Yeah, and then I think Brian made a comment here about announcing announcing the concern and just make sure that people don't even have to think about it. So to some extent, I think that's a good idea. I think if you've gotten the clearance from the client that you're working with and they're okay with you kind of making that announcement and just kind of saying, hey, we know the elephant in the room, and here's how we're going to deal with it, and we're all going to have a good time together, and let's not let this is the thing to me, right? Think about how many events we have all had to reschedule because of this. Okay.
Yeah.
I stopped counting at 100. I'm like, I don't even want to think about it anymore. Right. Like I don't even want to think about it anymore. These couples, they're already dealing with having to reschedule. Some of them have had to reschedule more than once. And this is supposed to be, at this point in time of their lives, the most important day of their life. Maybe not forever, but at this point in time. So think about the pressure that comes with that. Think about the emotion that comes with that. And I talk about this with couples that I work with all the time. There's going to be so many emotions, and there's going to be so many things that they're going to experience that they don't even know how to prepare for it, because they don't even know when it's going to happen. And all of us, we see it every week. Well, we haven't in a while, but normally, like we see it every weekend. And so it's important for us to remember that all of these couples still deserve the celebration that they should have had at the date that it was originally, scheduled to happen.
Yeah.
And so whatever we can do to mitigate the nonsense and kind of like not make COVID-19 more important than their wedding, then we need to really try to do that. And by no means am I saying ignore it and act like COVID-19 doesn't exist. But all I'm saying is that, first and foremost, let's remember that these people deserve to have the event of a lifetime. And collectively, we can all still provide that for them. We can all still give them that opportunity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you made a great point with you still have to bring your best service. I mean, there's concerns to be raised about public gatherings and stuff like that, but you have to put yourself in their shoes and say, man, how would I feel if like I was getting married and I planned this wedding, and so much work and effort and time went into it, and like now I'm so uncertain with what's going to happen. It's frustrating. It's saddening. I mean, I think that's where we can really come in as, the wedding community, and really like raise them up, and help them have the best event that they can, and just keep bringing that energy. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
no doubt, no doubt. Michelle, I don't know if you're still with us. If you are still with us, wanted to see if number one, if you got everything figured out. Number two, if Michelle is a very, very amazing wedding planner in our community that we all are, very lucky to work with a lot. And I know that they've been dealing over at her company. They've been dealing with a lot of this type of stuff and what's going on and everything. And it'd be great to get that perspective. So, Michelle, I don't know if you're still on or not. I don't even know if you're in a place or a position where you could come on camera with us and talk about it a little bit. If you are, just drop in the comments. If you're not, that's okay too. No problem. I don't want to spring it on you and everything, but we love to have your perspective. And if not tonight, we can definitely talk a little bit more about this, because I think it is something we need to continue to keep talking about, and it is something that as a group we need to really continue to keep helping the community grow together and grow stronger, and finding ways to be able to, again, continue to keep putting on amazing events for our couples and our clients alike.
I know this sounds super cliche, but if there's ever a time that we should be banding together as a community of wedding businesses, I think this is the time. I mean, to really just, put everything aside, put yourself aside, work with everyone that's at your events, and just do everything you can to make sure that, the event is the best it can be for the couple, for sure. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think we might've lost Michelle. So I think we'll jump on another, we'll save her for another live with us and get her on board with us. Oh, hey, Brian, thanks, man. All right. So Nick, I think we've pretty much tapped out on this first live, man. I feel really good about this, man. I had a lot of fun kind of riffing with you about this stuff. I really appreciate having the birthday boy was on with us earlier. My buddy up in New York, Donnie, was on with us earlier. He's probably really celebrating his birthday right about now, and I don't blame him for doing that. But it was good to have him on for a little while. And Brian and Austin, having you guys on with us and just kind of going through some of this stuff together. Raymar, of course, man, I'd be remiss if I didn't, mention Raymar on there with us. Hey, look at there.
Yeah, she got it.
She's there. Yes. Can you see my comments? We absolutely can. Michelle, before we wrap up, do you want to come on board with us and chat a little bit, or do you just want to wait for another time? I'm really cool either way. As people can obviously see at this point, we're really nonchalant about what we're doing here. Just keeping it casual and having fun. So maybe we'll hang on a second here and see if Michelle wants to come on with us. Although we might end up going another hour if she does. Which oh, she's saying heck yes, she does want to. Okay, all right. Hang on 1 second, then, Michelle. I'm going to send you the link to join us. I'll send that to you on Facebook, and then just click on that link, and you can join us on the camera here, and with your camera, obviously, and kind of just get on board with this. Nick,
I'm not in a video friendly mode.
Oh, she said heck yes, and then she said heck no. Okay.
No, you're good.
She said yes. Oh, she said yes to seeing her comments. Okay. All right. Well, never mind. We'll
get you next time.
We've probably been going on enough anyways.
It's been too long. It's been an hour 45.
Right. We're at a minute, or not a minute. We're at an hour 45. Jeez. Yeah. We're at an hour 45. All right, cool. All right, Michelle, we're going to get you on the next one then. We're definitely getting you on the next one. Thank you for that. All right. So I don't have anything else. Folks that are watching, here's the thing. This is what I really want to leave you guys with that are watching. This is something I'm very passionate about. This is something I'm very serious about. I'm very lucky to have Nick involved in this with me. I'm very lucky to have Michelle, who's going to be involved with us moving down the road. And I want those of you that are watching, those of you that will listen to this after the fact, to really know that this is a collective effort. This is not just, this will never get to where it needs to get to. Forget about what I want it to be. Thank you for that, Brian. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Brian. Thanks,
it's not about where I want it to get to. It's where it collectively needs to get to. Our industry has needed something like this for a very long time and still needs something like this. So I'm asking all of you guys, stay involved, comment, ask questions in the group, post things in the group that you want us to talk about. Let us know who you want us to. If you have a specific person in mind that you would love for us to have come on one of the lives with us, mention it. Send me a private message or post it in the group, whatever you're comfortable with doing, and let us know. But most importantly, invite people in the wedding industry and the events industry. By the way, I want to make this point too. I feel like I'm sounding like the president now because I keep going on these little side tracks, right? But I want to make sure that even though this is titled Wedding Business Growth, this is really about the wedding and events business. Okay. So for example, I sent an invite to one of my friends who is a photographer. And she responded back and said, well, I'd love to join you guys, but I'm not really a wedding photographer. And I said, well, I want to make sure that you understand that while we called it Wedding Business Growth, we don't want to exclude anybody who is in the events industry. If you are a part of the events industry, this is a place for you. This is a place where we want you to be. This is a place where we want you to be a part of. So please do us a favor and look through your friends list on Facebook. The people that you know that are in the wedding industry and the events industry, invite them to be a part of this group. Invite people that have been around for years, and invite people who are just starting that need proper guidance, that need help, that want to be able to proudly 10 years from now say that they still have a business going, not join this industry, think they got it all figured out, and then a year, maybe 2 years, if they're lucky, they're gone. We want to prevent that. The stronger everybody in the industry is, the stronger the industry is. And so we need your help with that. Nick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. And everyone has a unique skill set and unique knowledge base to share. So the more people that are involved with this, the more knowledge and the better chance you have of learning something that maybe you didn't know before, or meeting somebody that you haven't met before. So, I mean, that's what like we said in the beginning of this, it's what it's all about, is the community aspect, sharing knowledge, and just lifting each other up. I mean, that's really what it's all about. So I think this is going to be great. So I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, we just started, I guess really like maybe 2 days ago, Nick, we just started inviting people. We talked about this a little bit in earlier on in the conversation. We just started really kind of combing through our Facebook accounts and inviting people that we both know in the industry. And I mean, just in 2 days, we're almost at 100 members. And I'm not really a big guy. I'm not really big on quantity of people. I think it's important to have a good group of people to pull from and to learn from, and to lean on shoulders, and to cry on shoulders when you need to, and high five if we're allowed to touch each other at some point in time in life one day, maybe elbow bump or whatever.
Right.
But seriously, like, while I think it's important to have a big community of people, almost 100 people already could move literally mountains together if we're willing to help each other do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it doesn't have to be tens of thousands of people. Now, in my heart of hearts, I hope this group grows to that point. I really do. This is our first live, and this is the first time that we're coming on and really kind of talking about what our goals are, what our plans are. This is a great quote that Michelle just shared with us. Growth is the result of forces working together. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Beautiful quote. Thank you for sharing that, Michelle. I appreciate that. And that's exactly it. So do us a favor. Invite people. Try to do it tonight if you can, but do it whenever you can. Invite people. We're not turning anybody away that's in the event industry. If they want to be a part of this group and they want to learn with us and they want to grow with us and they want to see where this is going, because we've got a lot of really fun things planned.
Yeah.
We've got some really, really big plans for this that go way beyond just a Facebook group. I'll just, put it at that. But this is the first step. This is the first, rung in that ladder that we have to start with.
Yeah. I mean, just to add to Michelle's quote, I think we're going to grow so much more as a collective of people than you will ever be able to grow by yourself. And I always will. I'll always come back to me and you on how we first got started. You're going to grow. I grew the way I did, because, we worked together. I would not be where I'm at right now if I was still trying to hack this by myself. It's about a community. It's a community, man. Like we're a community of people. So how are you going to try to, we're not meant to do things by ourselves anyway. So I really think that the community aspect is really important, and that's what it is. And I just, anything you want to add, you could be having a bad day. It could be something really mundane and simple that you're like, it's been bothering you, or you want to share it in the group, throw it in the group, and we'll respond to you. We'll try to help you out, bring it into the comments. I mean, that's what it's all about.
And it can even be something that maybe you feel more comfortable reaching out to us directly one-on-one. You know what I mean? So it doesn't necessarily have to be just broadcasted out there for everybody in the group to see. If you feel more comfortable sharing it with us one-on-one, feel free to do that. Absolutely feel free to do that. Cool. All right, man. Well, I think that we're good. I'll take about another 15 seconds while I'm wrapping up. If anybody else has anything in the comments that they want to add, please do that now. So here's the deal. Our goal is to do these on Wednesday nights. We may find that Wednesday nights are not the best nights, but we're going to try that with the exception of next week. So next week is on Tuesday night. And then we're hoping to get into Wednesday nights on a consistent basis because we want people to come back. 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time may not be the best time either. So, just like we were talking about earlier with Facebook, thank you so much. I have to go to see who said that.
Yeah.
That was Austin. Thank you, Austin. Now I got to be sure that I don't confuse him with Raymar. Just like we were talking about earlier with the advertising on social media. This is going to be the same thing for us. We're going to have to test the waters, and we're going to have to find out what's the best. And you could, I always love the saying, you could pick the 25th hour of the 8th day of the 31st, the 13th month, and it still wouldn't be good. Like we could literally pick this up and come to your house and set it down in your living room for you, and even buy you dinner and have you sit there with us, and it still may not be good enough. So we realize that we may not be able to find something that's going to work for everybody, but we will continue to search for what's going to work best for most everybody. The only way we know that is to have your feedback. So we need you to let us know. We need you to let us know, is there a better night of the week? I know Wednesday nights, some religious people go to church. So maybe Wednesday night won't be the best for that purpose, right? 8 o'clock may be a little too late, or maybe a little too early for our friends on the West Coast as we start growing and building this thing. So we're really going to have to take all that into consideration, and I assure you that we will. We definitely will. So give us your feedback. Let us know how you want things to flow. Michelle, can we get a confirmation for you to join us next Tuesday night? Can we ask you that on the spot, or do you have to maybe check your calendar on that? But we'd love to have you next week, and maybe we will. Maybe unless people give us a bigger reason to have a different conversation, but maybe we'll really talk more and do a little bit more of a deep dive into this whole COVID-19 and events moving forward and things like that. Michelle is definitely going to have a lot of perspective from that standpoint as a wedding planner and really kind of being on the front line of what's going on in the industry and what's going on in their, of course, their clients, but also the venues that they have a lot of relationships with. They're just on point with all of that stuff. So anyways, so we'll talk to her. We'll talk to her, Nick. We'll see if we can get her to commit to working to being on with us next Tuesday night. let's wrap it up. I keep saying we're going to wrap it up, and then we talk about other stuff. But let's go ahead and wrap it up. It's getting late.
Yeah,
oh my
man.
gosh, it's already almost 10 o'clock. Oh, look at there. Yes, 8 p.m.
There you go.
8 p.m. 8 p.m. next Tuesday. 8 p.m. next Tuesday would be great. And if 8 p.m. doesn't work, then we'll maybe change it to 9 p.m. if that's better. And then we'll just put a post out there for everybody to see that. But guys, I'm telling you, you're gonna love having Michelle join us. She's awesome, top notch, absolutely the best. All right, cool. We're done, Nick.
We need to, we'll keep talking forever, man.
Yeah, we will. And that may not be such a bad thing as we move forward, but let's shut it down now. And guys, please do us a favor. Go invite people. Let's build this group up. Let's build this group up with people who love and care about this industry, but let's keep building this group up. All right. Thank you very much for being on with us. I hope that you guys got something out of tonight. I hope that you will continue to find this something that you will want to talk to people about and be like, hey, are you a part of this? If you're not, why aren't you? I really hope that we can provide that for you. So please continue to let us know how we can do that. I'm just checking messages here real quick before we go. All right, Nick, I'm going to let you wrap it up, and then I'm going to shut up.
Man.
Go ahead.
Just I appreciate I appreciate everyone's great energy, man. I mean, it's so awesome when we have this awesome, like, vibe. I hate to say vibe, but I mean it's a great vibe we have. So I'm looking forward to it. So I appreciate everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, thank you very much. Those of you that stuck around the whole almost 2 hours of this thing, we love you to death. And those of you that will watch it later on, we love you guys to death as well. Have a good night, and we will see you real soon in Wedding Business Growth. Good night, guys.
Bye.